The Blue Ridge Parkway runs through the heart of the southern Appalachian Mountains from North Carolina to Virginia. This is a trip I've wanted to take my whole adult life, and I cannot believe it's taken me this long since we live so close. When we started our trip, we hit 441 in Gatlinburg and went through the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. As we headed through the Smokies, by the time we got to Newfound Gap, the weather had taken a serious turn south. It started to drizzle before we got to Cherokee, so we decided to stop for the night in Cherokee, North Carolina, and give the weather time to pass, as it was supposed to clear by noon the next day. As you can see, the weather only continued to get worse, even though the predictions were that it would pass by noon when we left Cherokee early in the morning. For over 7 hours, we continued our trip along the parkway. We could only see the sides of the road, and it was truly a mind-numbing, bone-chilling test of endurance. Day one of our Blue Ridge Parkway adventure. We're at about 5,000 feet. We're completely locked in. The radar doesn't show any rain, but the clouds are so thick up here, it's raining. Bret's having to lean around the windshield to see. 20 miles an hour is about the top speed, and the farthest you can see is the edge of the road. That's the view we have today at 5,000 feet. By 4 p.m. or so, we had reached Asheville, North Carolina, and decided to exit the park and call it a day. We nearly called it a trip. As you can see, by noon on the third day, the weather finally broke, and the absolutely magnificent views of the mountains replaced the dismal drudgery of the first 2 days. Because of the delays that the weather caused, we didn't really have time to explore the parkway as much as we had liked. But we did take the 4-mile side road up to the peak of Mount Mitchell, which is definitely worth the trip. The parkway was constructed during the Depression as a way to pull the country out of the Depression and put people back to work. And it actually wasn't finished until the late 1980s. And I've been wanting to take this trip ever since then. And I could see why people make this trip, and I can see the passion that was put into building this road. This road is more than just a road. I think it was truly a labor of love for the mountains and for the people who live there. And it was a labor of love for all the people who would travel it in the future, to give us a picture of what life was like when the road was constructed, and to truly give us a view of the mountains that has no other comparison. Bret and I have traveled out west several times on our motorcycle, and we've traveled all around the east on the motorcycle, went to the coast and everything. But there is no other road that we have been on that is quite like this. And I can honestly say, in all of our trips across the country, there are no views that compare to these. There is nothing any grander than what we have here in our own backyard. I would definitely recommend this trip to anyone who's looking for a different kind of vacation. There are some things that you need to be mindful of. It is cooler because it is up in the mountains, so you need to prepare for that. Definitely check the weather before you leave, even though it's not always right. We were supposed to have clear weather the entire week, and we obviously did not. But the weather is more harsh at this altitude, so you need to be prepared for that. You also need to keep an eye on your gas gauge, because gas isn't readily available always along the parkway, and there are points where you have to get off and travel several miles to get to a gas station. But if you keep your eye on your gas gauge, you can hit gas stations within 2 miles of the park, and keep your tank full so that you don't have to travel into major cities to get gas, or you don't have to leave the parkway for long distances to get gas. This road is an absolute engineering miracle, but it's more than that. It's a massive sculpture that winds through the peaks of the mountains for over 450 miles. I really wish we had had about 3 weeks to take this trip so that we could have explored the park in more depth, and we will definitely be coming back. Every inch of the road was just absolutely gorgeous. It's a slow, beautiful, pleasant, peaceful experience that just doesn't exist many places these days. If you're planning on taking this trip, I would watch several documentaries on the construction of the parkway, because what you see will be more meaningful if you understand the history behind it. And you won't miss as much stuff if you know what's there before you go. If you know what to look for, the points of interest, maybe pick out 10 or 15 things that you want to see along the way. There are literally hundreds, and it would take 3 to 5 weeks to see everything on the parkway, or it will take several trips, which we plan on going back again very soon. We're going to go when the leaves turn this fall and spend at least a couple of days. Maybe do the parkway in sections. It's divided into 4 sections so that we can take more time and get into more of the details of the park. Well, it's time for this trip to end, and we're headed home. Be sure and click like and subscribe before you leave, because we're going to upload some more video from the parkway on our next trip. God bless y'all. Safe travels. We'll see you again soon.